Hi, my name is John. I was killed by men who wanted to keep the truth from the American people. Like the mafia, they had their hitmen. I stepped out of line and that was the end of me. Or was it? Men with the same agenda are lurking in the shadows today, and America must wake up now, or all is lost. For the cause of freedom, people have rallied around my name since the 1950s. Paul Revere had a cause that left a legacy for multiple generations. He cried, "The British are coming," and alerted a nation to a threat that would have destroyed them. I did the same thing over 70 years ago, although nobody was listening at the time. Thanks to one man who heard me in my death, tens of thousands of people have rallied around the cause. Like thousands of fingers in the dike, the flood of tyranny has been slowed, but it has not been stopped, and the dam is ready to break at any moment. Freedom is the oldest cause in history, a state of mind, body, and spirit, which is sometimes elusive and hard to define, let alone implement in the lives of men. Initially, my life was dedicated to the freedom of the spirit when I went to China as a missionary in 1940. There I found war, killing, and injustice rampant. And yet, the people of the land were a simple people with warm hearts for me. To be more effective, I became fluent in 5 dialects of Chinese, made many friends, and started several churches against the wishes of the Chinese communists and Japanese occupiers, both of whom had my number and were out to get me. Brutality by the communists and the Japanese toward the gentle people I had come to know tore a hole in my soul. What could I do? God's providence led me to Colonel James Doolittle, the famous pilot who led the bombs over Tokyo raid in World War II. He and his squadron were forced to ditch their planes after they ran out of fuel. Sanctuary for them was provided by some Chinese who did not speak English, but they did know about me and brought me to the crew. The boys were happy to hear a friendly voice in a known tongue and wanted me to get them to safety behind enemy lines. Although delirious with malaria, I was still able to guide them ultimately to General Claire Chennault's Flying Tigers headquarters. After hearing Doolittle's testimony, the general wanted to meet me, and he was so impressed with my language skills, connections with the people, familiarity with the territory, as well as my radio skills, that he pressed me to join the American cause for World War II in Southeast Asia. Believe it or not, I became the single most valuable human asset in the war. My actions were responsible for saving innumerable lives, preventing valuable equipment losses, and ultimately helped to bring the war to a speedy close. During all of this, the occupying Imperial Japanese Army, although they could never catch me, they were acutely aware of me and had me in their sights, gave me the nickname the Phantom Mandarin. One day after the war was over, my other nemesis, the Chinese communists, captured me and killed me. Before that day, I mailed a letter to my mother telling her that the war was over and I'd be coming home. The next thing my mother knew, she received a telegram saying that I'd been killed in action. Knowing that it wasn't true, she took her case to Congress, where it became quite clear that our government, and especially the State Department, were covering up the truth of the matter because they were behind the communist takeover of China, and they didn't want the American people to know their treason. Evil, power-hungry men know that a constant state of war is necessary to expand the power and scope of government and to take away the freedom of the people. I tried to warn people about the communists, but nobody heard me while I was alive. A man named Robert Welch heard me in my death, though, and he started an organization named after me posthumously. It's called the John Birch Society. They have been faithful and true to support and uphold the Constitution while opposing the communists and those who finance them. These same people who arranged my murder and the enslavement of over 1 billion Chinese under communism are still active in trying to enslave the whole world today under their New World Order, under a one-world government. They are aided and abetted by members of the mainstream media, treasonous politicians, and corrupt corporate captains, and other powerful and influential forces. As the clock runs out in America, I'm here to warn you of these dangerous and ruthless people who have no allegiance to God or country. Paul Revere said, "Awake, the enemy is coming. To arms, to arms." If the spirit of 1776 burns within our hearts, then the evil that is enveloping our nation can and will be destroyed. Time is of the essence. And that is my untold.